Great Brahma, Prakriti is my womb. In that I cast a seed, and from it is the birth of all beings, O Bhārata, Arjuna. Shri Krishna says that great Brahma is his womb and the place of creation. We will understand spiritually what great Brahma is. In this womb that is great Brahma, the Supreme Soul casts a seed, and from it is the birth of all beings. The word sambhava is used in this verse, meaning to be born. Samyak yatva bhavaha. Great Brahma means prakrti, nature, and if we were to understand it in its simple meaning, it is where the Supreme Soul's womb is. In this womb, in the form of prakrti, nature, the Supreme Soul casts a seed, and from this is the birth of all beings. We will try to understand this a little, particularly the phrases Mahat Brahma, great Brahma, and Mama Yoni, my womb. First of all, what is Mahat Brahma, great Brahma? Mahat Brahma is a power of prakrti, nature, that is of the Supreme Soul, who is a protector of the universe. God has many powers, and one of these powers is a power in the form of prakrti, nature, and this is called Mahat Brahma, great Brahma. This power is endless, beyond tradition, and beyond place. Let us also understand the meanings of the words Mahat Brahma. Mahat means great, and Brahma means ever expanding. This is a special thing about this chapter. Earlier, that God had put two similar words, Uttamam, the best, and Paramam, the supreme, together in the last verse and created a new special meaning. And if you look at it now, the words Mahat, great, and Brahma, ever expanding, both mean the exact same thing. We call the whole world Brahmand, which can be split into the words Brahma, ever expanding, and And, egg. And therefore this world is an ever expanding egg. This egg is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Your forms are there. This world keeps forever expanding, and the world keeps forever spreading. And scientists have proved this to be true, that the spreading of the universe is so big that one's gaze cannot even reach there. This universe is so big. There are stars that are millions of light years away. How big is it? We feel as if the sun is in front of us because we can see, but the sun is 8 minutes far away. The sun is 8 minutes far away. This means that the light that comes from the sun reaches the earth after 8 minutes. Think about how far the sun must be. This is because the speed of light is very fast and immediate. As soon as you switch on a light, then you immediately see it. It is not as if you see the light after you switch it on. You see it immediately. No matter how far the light is, if you switch it on, you will immediately see it. Then think about how far the sun must be that light has come in 8 minutes ago, can be seen by us now. And this sun can be regarded to be close to us. If you describe the universe, then there are such stars that we see at night that are 4 light years away. Their distance is measured in light years. This means the light that came out 4 years ago can be seen by us now. Therefore, the star that we can see now is actually the star that was there 4 years ago. This position of the star is from 4 years ago. Who knows what the star is like now and where it is? How ever expanding is the universe? The meaning of the word Brahma is ever expanding. Then Mahat Brahma means something that is big, great, and ever expanding. This power is prakrti, nature, and this power is as great as God. If I were to alliterate words, then I could say that Mahat Brahma is the power of activity of the Supreme Brahman, who is the Supreme Soul. Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Soul, and his power of activity is Mahat Brahma. Mahat Brahma is the power of activity of the Supreme Brahman. If we look at a being in reality, then it's a part of the Supreme Brahman. Shri Krishna says in verse 7 of chapter 15 of the Gita that Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, a fragment or fraction of me, my own self, becomes a living soul, eternal in the world of life. We will see this when we study the next chapter because it's very close now. The being is in reality a part of the Supreme Soul, but it goes away the Supreme Soul and ties a relation with this Mahat Brahma, great Brahma. The being is in reality a part of the Supreme Brahman, but it goes away from the Supreme Soul and ties a relationship with Prakrti, nature, that is Mahat Brahma, great Brahman. Up until there, it was fine. This was the first step, from Supreme Brahman to Mahat Brahma, great Brahma. Then what happens is that the being gets bondages to the 3 modes that are in the form of the activity of prakrti, nature. We will speak about these three modes throughout this whole 14th chapter, and they are sattva, goodness, rajas, passion, and tamas, dullness. They get bondages with them. Therefore, bondages with the three modes of nature arise. From then, the being goes downhill and considers the body, which is a means of activity for the sattva, goodness, rajas, passion, and tamas, dullness, to be its own form. Once the being falls into this downhill hole, then all the sorrows begin. So these are the 4 steps in turn. Supreme Brahman, number 1. Number 2, from Supreme Brahman to Mahat Brahma, Great Brahma. Number 3, the 3 modes of nature that are the form of activity of Mahat Brahma, Great Brahma. And number 4, the body that is a form of activity of the 3 modes of nature. This tradition of going downhill and this tradition of sorrows gets created. This is what happens. This is Mahat Brahma, Great Brahma. The phrase Mama Yonihi, my womb, is also used in this verse. Yoni means place of birth, and that from where birth takes place. God's great power is the place of birth and the womb from all creatures, both moving and unmoving. This is this power. It is a place of birth of all of these. Mahat Brahma, Great Brahman, is the root prakrti nature from where the endless powers of the material world are created. They are created from Mahat Brahma, Great Brahma. And God has said such a nice phrase here, Mama Yonihi, my womb. It is His. The meaning of this is that prakrti nature is God's. The root prakrti nature is His, and that is why it is His possession. Not only that, but without God's wish, prakrti nature cannot do anything. Whatever prakrti nature does is within the guidance of God. Shri Krishna said in the 10th verse of the 9th chapter of the Gita that Maya adhyakshena prakrti suyete sacharacharam. Under my guidance, nature prakrti gives birth to all things, moving and unmoving. God says that this prakrti nature is under His guidance. What God describes in the 3rd and 4th verses here, and the symbols He uses, are a little erotic. They are erotic symbols. This prakrti nature is a mother, and in the next verse, God will speak about Him being the father. Verse 4. Sarvayon